Hello, buddy. Welcome back. I'm the Strategy Professor, and today we're going to be doing another coaching session. This is going to be a silver Zyra game. So thank you very much to Morgan for the generous donation. Really appreciate it. So we're going to be going over the pregame really quickly, what I think about Zyra. This is patch 8.4. I believe that he recorded this on, he or she, not entirely sure, that he or she recorded this on patch 8.3, but I'm going to make recommendations for 8.4 because it is 8.4 today, so just recommendations moving forward. Okay, so we'll do that first, then we'll watch it. I'll take some great notes, and then at the very end, comment, of course, as we're watching it, take notes, and at the very end, we'll bring it all together and try to give Oregon the best 5 to 10 points to help them win more games, okay? And then, if you would like a coaching session of your own, it's just a $20 donation. Just email me at thestrategyprofessor@gmail.com if you want to inquire about that. If you want to watch more coaching videos, I have a coaching playlist here. And if you want to see some of my in-depth champion guides, and I have these here, and I'm going to be adding some more very soon. Okay, so let's go ahead and get in here. All right, for Zyra, or just really for any support champion, you want to be aiming for about 1 control ward per 10 minutes. So if it's a 30-minute game, you need to try to get 6 control wards. 1 normal ward per minute on average, so 30-minute game, 30 wards. If you run zombie ward, you need to have double that number. So you can have 60 wards in 30 minutes if you're running zombie. Okay, as far as runes, I recommend Comet, Mana Flow, either Transcendence or Celerity. I really like Transcendence in longer games. That extra 10% cooldown reduction is a very big deal because often you can't itemize for cooldown reduction. And it's very good on Zyra. It gives you more plants, gives you more ultimates. It's a very good stat. It's just something that is rare that you really can't get a hold of as Zyra a lot. Celerity does keep her safer, though. It does give you that extra 3% move speed, which is, roughly equivalent to like half a boot or so in terms of move speed, half a brown boot. So it's pretty good to have that move speed, but, that 10% cooldown reduction is really good. So it just kind of depends if you want that early game movement. It does help you escape ganks as well, or if you want to have a little bit more of a powerhouse mid-game once you get that extra 10% CDR. And then Scorch is mandatory as the last one. Now, the secondary tree is a little more debatable. I was kind of looking up for some inspiration from some pro builds as well, because I used to go for Second Wind plus Iron Skin, and I thought that was it wasn't a popular route. I don't think a lot of people did that with Zyra, but I had a lot of success with that, and it just gave you some supreme trading in lane. It was really hard for most other supports, even other aggressive supports early, like a Nami or Lulu. It's really hard for them to trade back on you when you have those kinds of resistances and sustain in lane. But now they've nerfed that a lot in the Resolve tree. So now you have to choose either Iron Skin or Second Wind. And there's just not a very good replacement there. So Bone Plating is not that great with the kind of trading style that Zyra does, where someone might hit you back with like 1 auto attack, maybe 2. You're not going to get the full value out of that in lane. Font of Life and Demolish are awful for Zyra, and then all of these are really bad for Zyra. You don't have access to these. So, you don't have a lot of good options here anymore. So that's unfortunate. So the other 2 trees that I think would be viable. I also don't like Inspiration after the nerfs either. I know this used to be really popular on Zyra, but because you have to choose between Footwear and Stopwatch, and both of these have been nerfed significantly, then that's no longer good either, because I don't really like either of these. I had considered going something like Time Warp, Tonic, and Biscuit so that you'd have a lot of sustain in lane for better trading, but ultimately you don't have anything to fall back on outside of lane. And those are just like very temporary boosts to your sustain. So they're okay, but they're not super enticing. Also, you're not going to be building Hourglass most of the time, or you shouldn't. And so this won't get a lot of value out of it. When you're trying to buy Hourglass and Magical Footwear, you want those boots really fast. Like you want them faster than 9 or 10 minutes, which is what you'd get with Magical Footwear. Sometimes I just rush Sorcerer Boots if I have 1100 because it gives you the move speed, and the 15 Magic Pen is a massive boost to your damage early on. So you really want those boots faster than Magical Footwear lets you buy them most of the time. So, Inspiration's kind of out. Another one to consider would be Precision. This is kind of an old school before they nerfed some of this stuff when this was really good on Zyra. So Triumph is still pretty good. It's 12% of missing health. So, in a fight, if you're missing like 300 health, I give you back 36. Pretty good bargain, and an extra 20 gold. That's on takedowns. That's even if you get the assist. So That's pretty decent. And then coup de grace is pretty good. It used to be 10%, now it's 7% increased damage against targets, but they all have to be 40% or lower. So it's pretty good for executing targets, but it is kind of situational. It doesn't have a lot of power in the laning phase. I mean, it's good when you're going for the kill, but as far as poke, it doesn't really help that much. So 7% extra damage is... It depends on the scaling. I just did my AP itemization video, but, you know, it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of, like, maybe 12 magic pen or something against a 50 magic resist target. So it's a good bargain. It's a good bargain. You know, the 7%, off the top of my head, the value's probably, like, maybe 300 gold or something like that. But it's only going to be up, like, when they're below 40% gold, 40% health. So it's pretty good. I mean, obviously, if you get this 15 bonus temporarily in a team fight where you're killing multiple people, that's really nice, because the 15 ability power is roughly equal to, like, between 300 and 400 gold. So with those two combined, you're getting a pretty good deal. It's like 600, 700 gold value. Once again, just kind of estimate off the top of my head here. I haven't done the full math on that, but pretty good value. It's just very situational when you get that value. Okay, so if you want to do this, this would be where you'd go. I think Triumph, Coup de Grace. So that's good. I mean, that's better than Inspiration. That's better than Resolve, I think. But I believe the best one is probably in the Domination tree, and that's where most people are going, is Domination. Now, people will get different stuff. There is some disagreement, even among, like, top players on what is the best here. But what I would prefer is just a mixture of early game sustain, because I think that's really nice as Zyra, especially if you take a bad trade or two every now and then. That helps you out a lot. Just in case you goof up and get hit by, you know, a few too many Lulu Qs or something like that. And that's really nice. So I think that Taste of Blood is my early game choice. Pretty nice. Even if you don't have a ton of AP, and early on, you know, around level 3 or so, you're still getting back about 1 HP per second, which is nice. That basically doubles the natural regen on Zyra, so that's pretty nice. You know, over 1 minute, you'd have 60 more HP. Pretty decent, respectable. That's about, like, maybe not quite a rejuve bead, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close to a rejuve bead, I think. So that's a pretty good... It might be a little bit more. It's probably like 150 to 200 gold value. What is her base? I can actually look at that and figure that out. Let me see. She has a pretty... Probably like 6 or something. 5. 5.5. 6. Okay. So yeah, and I think Reju Bead is 50%. Now that's health per 5. So that's about 1 HP per second. So yeah, I think a Reju Bead is 50% for 150 gold. 50% of your base. Yes. I do know my items. I do a lot of itemization videos. Okay, so that's actually really good then, because that's the equivalent of about 2 Reju beads on Zyra. Because you're getting 100% of your base, because your base is so low. So yeah, getting 1 HP, you know, per second on average is about equal to, you know, this, which is 1 HP per second, give or take a little bit on average. So it's about 300 gold worth of health regen. So that's a really good bargain. And then it scales up over time. So as you go up, it'll give you a little bit more. And then once you start getting some AP, you know, later on in the game, you have like 200 AP, something like that. You know, this could heal you for like 40 or 50 every 20 seconds, which is not like astounding, but it's okay. It does chip in during some sieges and things. It's helpful. This is mostly for the laning phase though. So this is kind of my replacement for Second Wind. Second Wind used to give you, depending on how much health you were missing, somewhere between 15 to 20 every 10 seconds. That was 1.5 to 2 HP per second, so roughly double what Taste of Blood would give you on average. It didn't scale as well, but you're mostly getting it for the lane phase. So you're going to have a little bit less sustain than you would in the early levels than you would if you had Second Wind. But if you stayed healthy near the top of your game, then this could actually heal you for more. Second Wind really kicks in when you're missing like 200 or 300 health. Starts to give you quite a bit. So this is, I would say, on average, marginally lower than Second Wind, which is what I used to recommend. So it's still good, though. So that gives you some good early game sustain. And then Eyeball Collection is a great scaling one. And I think this is kind of a lower elo special. Like, you won't see a lot of challengers running this because there's not going to be a lot of deaths. and assists in tight challenger games. When you're playing like I presume this is a silver or a bronze game. When you're playing in one of these games and the final score might be like 45-45 or something, 90 deaths in a game, this is great because you're going to be picking up a ton of deaths, and there's a high potential between ward takedowns. Remember, it's ward takedowns, not ward kills. So if you just get one auto attack on a ward and somebody else kills it, you still get an eyeball for it. Okay, so it's ward takedowns. For kills, you get 2, and for assists, you only get 1. So they did nerf it. Used to get 2 on assists. So not as good as it used to be. But the potential is still really high. So in games where you are getting a ton of kills, ton of ward kills and stuff like that, I looked up a lot of my history here with Zyra a bit ago, and I saw that in most games, I definitely hit the max eyeballs, even at a slightly higher level of play. So I think this is a pretty good scaling one, and if you complete the whole thing, it's 30 ability power, which is like 650 gold worth. Yeah, 653 gold worth. So that is a very, very good bargain. You don't unlock the full thing probably until like 20 to 25 minutes, but it's a good sort of later in the game type of rooms. This, you get a little bit of early game sustain, a little bit of scaling later into the game. I think that's a good combination. Other people that I saw were getting things like Zombie Ward and Relentless Hunter was popular. This is great for roaming around and helping to control vision, especially at higher levels of play where people, the junglers, can't get the tracker's knife anymore. That's important. But, I think it's silver and bronze. I'd rather just go for eyeball collection. The roaming around's not going to be as important. You can't leave your lane as much. Your AD carry might die. And then zombie wards are nice, but you won't be clearing as many wards as they do in the higher level, primarily because people just won't be warding as much. So you're not going to have wards to clear. So I do like zombie wards on enchanters and tanks. On Zyra, I just want more power. I just want that early game trading potential and then just scaling and just murdering everybody in team fights. So I think that Taste of Blood Eyeball would probably be what I'd recommend. But there's definitely an argument for, Relentless Hunter, Ravenous Hunter, if you want better late game sustain and zombie ward. But like I said, I would probably go Taste of Blood Eyeball collection. Then as plan B, if you don't like that, then you could do the coup de grace and blanket on that, the other one the other one in the precision tree. Okay, but this is what I would recommend. Okay, as far as good build orders now, you want to go Frost Queen, Sorcerer Boots, Liandry's, Rylai's, Void most of the time. Be sure to watch my AP itemization video if you're curious about why I recommend those items. But basically, Liandry's is super powerful right now. Rylai's just got a buff. It's very good with Liandry's. And Void Staff is just a really good bang for your buck, 4th item powerhouse pick. Death Cap is also, if you're super rich, instead of Void Staff, could be another reasonable pick there. But Void Staff is really good, especially after you get the slow from the Rylai's with the Liandry's. It becomes a lot more efficient. So this is what I'd buy. I wouldn't deviate from that too much. If you're getting completely slaughtered by something and you really need a Banshee's Veil to stop those blitz hooks, or you really need a something to help you out against Zed, you need to get Hourglass, you could get that second or third item. I would almost always get Liandry's first no matter what. So you do have a little bit of flexibility there, but don't ever get something like Twin Shadows. Don't get Spellbinder. Don't get anything that has like mana on it. You just don't need that as Zyra. So don't fall into some of these other traps out there. Particularly, I think there'll be a strong temptation for people to try out Twin Shadows and Spellbinder. As you don't want to do that. You're hurting your efficiency a lot by doing it. I know those items are cool. But if you're going for like maximum efficiency, I wouldn't recommend them. You always want to max your E first. That's your stun. That's your AoE crowd control for team fights. It's also your highest damage spell, not including the plants. Your W gives you more seeds, which I think is great for poking. It's great for vision control. It's more DPS over time in fights. So I like maxing W. If you want really a lot higher, like all-in burst, like single target, then Q is going to be more. If you max Q second, there is, an active debate among people who do this. So what is Mythy? I think Mythy does plant second. And then someone like Core JJ, when I looked, I think he does Q. Core JJ likes Q. So pros don't agree on this. There's a lot of people who are really good at Zyra that disagree. And sometimes it's situational. Sometimes you need that burst damage. If you're having a hard time killing a special target, and then sometimes you need more plants, maybe you're really having to fight hard for vision control. So it's not guaranteed every game exactly how you should do it. You know, you kind of have to feel it out per game. But I think in general, the W is going to do a lot more for you overall in the game than the Q will most of the time. Okay, let's go ahead and get in here. I know it's kind of a long preamble. It's a bit longer than I like, but I want to talk about some of the new stuff with Zyra. I'm going to do a full guide for her soon. Another one. I have one on the channel, but one for Season 8 soon. But I just wanted to throw it out there for people watching that enjoy Zyra, and then, of course, for you, Morgan, who might be curious about what to do in 8.4 on Zyra. Okay, let's go ahead and get in here. Let me turn off the... or turn up the sound, rather. I had it muted. I've already got it queued up for us. Alright. Let's go ahead and get to it. Okay, we got Varus. Alright, so you are against Jinx, Morgana, Zed, Fiddle, Yasuo. Okay, middle matchup's probably about even. Your lanes, you should be able to win this if you can dodge more Qs. Warwick versus Fiddle is weird because they want to do different things. It's hard to say exactly who's going to scale harder there. I would say Warwick's probably more reliable than Fiddle, so you probably have scaling there. And Jace should crush this lane top. Now, Yasuo's going to outscale him, though. So, pretty even matchup. Pretty good runes overall. Looks like everybody's kind of got the right stuff. Phase shift. It's a little weird, but it's alright.
Minions have spawned.
Okay. If y'all want to get cute here. Now, the thing is, when they see you, they're going to know that you didn't leash him at red. So, if you wanted to do this, you should have warded this at the red. So that you know if Fiddlesticks is going to come over here and try to take your red. Now, I don't know if they're going to spot him out or not. They probably won't. But you are giving away information, if they're paying attention, that Warwick either started blue or red. Or enemy red. Now, it looks like you might get some good cheese here. I would still probably go Q. You might start E just to try it out. But... okay. Good. Alright, that was worth. That was a good hit. You hit all of them. Now, what do you take? I missed what you got as your secondary. Obviously, Comet. You didn't get Stopwatch. Okay, I forgot to look what your secondary is, so I'm not entirely sure about that. But that's okay. We talked about what what I recommend on the new patch, so. Good pressure. Okay, nice. Come up here. Yeah, harass her. Yeah, there you go. Good, good, good. Good. Nice. Okay. Good. Yeah, it was great placement of those plants. Yeah, if you put the plants right in front of something like a Blitzcrank or a Morgana, okay, I assume you don't have Resolve as your secondary because you're kind of squishy, which is fine. Yeah, if you put the plants in front, it'll block Blitz hooks and Morg binds and all that good stuff. So that was great. Instead of putting them behind her or like right on top of her, putting them in front like that was good. Yeah, just get a couple of hits on the tower if you can. Just while you're chilling, just running back and forth, just chip a couple of hits in there. It's a small detail, but it does add up. It allows you to proc your spell thieves more often. It does proc on towers, and then just chip in a little bit of damage over time. Zyra lanes are naturally going to push quite a bit because your plants are just going to push the wave. You got to be a little careful with Fiddle. Have we seen Fiddle yet? Yeah, he got an assist top lane a little bit ago. I must have been too busy watching your play down here. Now, Warwick's all up in their jungle, so you can play a bit more aggressive. because you know that he's gone. Now, I want you to switch over off of this E, because you're kind of running low on mana, and just, like, go off of these haymakers and just start harassing with your Q plus W, and just try to poke Jinx out. Like, I think you're going for the E too much. Yeah. The problem is, if you use your E also, they know that you're weak, so they know they can all in you, potentially, if you E. So that's why typically you want to harass with your Q until you get them to like maybe 20 or 30% health, and then you go for your E for the haymaker. But you don't want to harass with your E because it leaves you too vulnerable. And it's a lot harder to hit. The Q is almost guaranteed going to hit him. Like it's really easy to hit the Q and put a plant on him. Also, that spawns ranged plants, so it's really hard for them to run away from the ranged plants. So usually the ranged plants will get an extra like hit or two on them versus the melee plants. So, you know, you shouldn't typically start E, although I think it's cool that you started it because you guys had a good shot in this bush to really, you know, kind of cheese them out there, so it worked this time. But in normal situations where you just typically just walk to lane, you want to start Q and then plant. Unless there's like an invade or you're trying to do something level 1. Okay. Get up here and pressure her. It's just her. Yeah, don't let her get experience. Walk up here. Okay. Yeah, just let it push, though. Okay, so you know this is warded because the minion just turned around and shot at you. So that's a quick tip, is like, if you don't know that, if the minions try to hit you and you're in the bush, that means it's warded. Because they can't see you unless it is. So, you know that's warded. Okay. You need to get a ward on dragon. Warwick's on the top side. Fiddlesticks could take the dragon. Okay, he's middle right now. Okay, you can't help him. Warn them. If Morg leaves, you need to warn him. Okay, well this lane's not moving at all, so. Okay, Morg, you need to ping that Morg could be coming, so he doesn't walk into that. I think he'll probably be alright, because Jinx didn't go. I mean, that's pretty fortunate that they didn't run up there. Okay, Zed's there now. He might be dead. Okay. Well, they didn't rotate up there. I'm going to back up a little bit here and look. So yeah, you need to try everything you can to not let them go up there. Yeah, good. So you're walking up, intimidating them a little bit. Hold on, did you just get binded? Is that what happened? Okay. Yeah, so a positional tip against something like a Morgana or a Blitzcrank, you always want to stand behind minions, especially if you don't see them. Just assume that they're just going to throw a random Q. So you always want to position behind minions. So there's really no reason to be in that bush unless you are actively trying to like pressure them. But that's really dangerous against Morg because as you see, like if she hits you with a Q, you know, it's going to do like 90% of your HP, so. Alright, so let me write some of this down here.
Team double kill.
Ow. Alright.
Shut down.
Okay, so Jinx has 3 kills, which is bad. But you're about even on CS, so that's good. Okay, so I'm just writing down position behind the minions. Yes, I'm just writing down position or harass with Q until they get down to kill range, which typically means you need your ignite, and they need to be at like 20 or 30% because you know they're going to heal in and all in. So if you hit them with an E and they're that low, you need to ignite them immediately before they flash away and before they heal. So a lot of people will save their heal till they're like, you know, 10% health and then try to heal at the last second. And if you already had the ignite ticking, it's going to cut their heal in half. So that's kind of what your setup should be. And when you harass with Q, only use one plant. I'm guilty of doing this sometimes, or I'll try to do two. But the issue with that is if multiple plants hit the same target at the same time, well, he's gone. If multiple plants hit the same target at the same time, the second one only does 50% damage. And so you're much better off just using one plant to harass, waiting until your Q is off cooldown again, using another plant to harass. If you need to be a little defensive, if you're kind of scared of your lane, you might want to save one plant in reserve just for your, just so you always have an E plant. But you almost always want to save your E because that's your defense. So like if Morg hits you with a Q for, oh god, yeah, you're probably dead. If Morg hits you with a Q, for example, then you would still have your E and a plant ready. Where did he come from? Okay, so he's right here, so you need to watch him up here, rotating down. I didn't see that either at the time. You need to try to keep eyes on middle. And just try to think about where Fiddle could be. You know he wants Dragon, because Dragon's not dead, and he can take it very easily right now, so... He's going to play the bot side of the map. And even if, like... How is Jace doing top? He's losing. Okay, so... Even if you don't see Fiddlesticks, like, you know you have a ward... You have two wards up here, which are great. So you know he's probably not on this side, because you haven't seen him up here in a while. And you know he wants Dragon, because he's really good at taking it. And you know that you guys are behind bot lane. So, you know, there's a really good chance it's going to be hard to fight him. And Jace is getting pushed into tower up top, or he was. Which is weird. I don't know how that's happening, but he was. And so Fiddle doesn't have a good gank top lane. So, all of these factors point... See, there he is right now. So you know he's up there, but all these factors point to him potentially camping bottom. So just think about it logically. Even if you haven't seen him, just think where's the most likely place that he's going to want to go. And then just be ready if it's bot lane. And your lane is very vulnerable too. Like, they're going to know that you don't have flash because you just used it earlier. They're going to ping that out. And they know you don't have escapes other than flash. And Varus doesn't have escapes either, and he doesn't have flash. So if you just lost your flash, expect the jungler to camp you for the next 5 minutes. They don't always do that. But if they're smart, they will. And bot side just gets camped a lot anyways. Okay, he's coming down. I just saw him right there. So he's going to do the same thing probably where he runs through here. Okay, he just hit the dust. You need to tell Warwick, be careful. You know, if you were something like Janna, Tristana, he'd be a lot less likely to come down here, most likely. But, you know, because you're two immobile champions, then he knows if he gets an ult off, you're probably going to die. How big is... Okay, he doesn't have any kills. Jinx does, but she got some really, like, silly items. So, and she has a lot of AD right now, so she's going to hurt in the short term, so be aware of that. But, you know, she doesn't understand how item scaling works, so once Varus completes his Gensuits, you guys can probably duel him. But you need to be careful. What are you buying, by the way? Okay, you got biscuits. And you don't have magical boots. I'm not sure what else you got then. You don't have stopwatch. You don't have magical boots. Cosmic Insight? Okay, good. Be careful though, you had to use Flash, so it's not bad using Flash for a kill, but just remember, you're going to be really vulnerable if like a Fiddlesticks jumps over this wall or something. Which I would say is probable. Mid lane's missing, so Zed could be there and Fiddlesticks could be there. You guys don't have any wards. He was there, and he does have ult, so he could have easily just popped over this wall and killed you. But for some reason, he chose not to. Oh, I guess that's fortunate, but you got to be careful. This is Fiddlesticks loves this. This is like the Fiddlesticks special right here. He loves to pop over this wall and like flash onto people. He wouldn't even had to flash there. He could have just popped over, but he just didn't do it for some reason. Yeah, that's a Fiddlesticks special right there, though. He loves to, like, a good Fiddlesticks will jump over this wall, or they'll try to get their support to get control wards of these bushes and then come through these bushes. Obviously, he's going to prefer that to just trying to walk up and fear you, you know? He kind of has to have a bush. Blasting Wand. Yeah, I don't like finishing Eye of the Watchers. It does give you a 4th ward, but let's be honest here, how many wards are you actually getting down? Not that many, right? And, you know, that's not all your fault because you've been pushed in a tower and your lane's really far behind, right? So you've died 3 times and Fiddlesticks is camping you and all that, so that's fine. It's not your fault, but especially if you can't get deep vision, if you don't have lane priority, like the reason you would want to rush Watchers is if you can actually get good quality deep vision in, right? So if you can actually like ward Dragon, ward Blue, and like ward over here, maybe 4 wards is okay. But if you're just going to be dropping wards, like you already had vision here with this ping, you know? Like if you're just going to drop a bunch of redundant vision, then it's not going to be worth. Okay, that was a good trade. So you got binded, but you had a good trade. Also, after the changes to Sightstone, it's pretty inefficient to get to the 4th ward item because you're not priced into it anymore. So like before, you would have Sightstone, you had to buy that. You would have Frostfang, you have to buy that. You need to ping this out for him. He's going to get caught and killed by Yasuo, probably. You know, it's not entirely your job, but if you see it, you need to ping it. He was probably dead either way. But, you know, if you were kind of on the ball here, like going the extra mile, you could see that Yasuo and Zed are missing and ping question mark and tell him to back. He did get the tower, though. That was the first tower. I mean, it's worth. It's just something to consider, though. If you see other lanes missing, or if you see someone channeling a teleport, just ping it. Just get in the habit of pinging it. But, anyways, what I was saying before, what? Now, they're going back up here, so you need to ping this. Yasuo is coming up here. You were priced into getting the 4-ward item because it was only 550 additional gold. And it was slot efficient, so you only you were paying for the slot efficiency mostly. Yeah, you really need to work on, and this is something I used to do a lot of Zyra. You need to hit them with the E first, and then as the E's going, if you think it's going to land, you need to spawn the plants with your Q. So you need to Q and use the plants, because that gives the range. The slow is nice, but the range plants are much better in most situations. If you want to put 1 slow plant on them, that's fine, but do at least 1 slow plant and 1 range plant. The range will just hit them for much longer. But you were priced into it before. You had Sightstone, then you had your Frostfang. It was only 550 more to complete it. So you would get more AP. You would get an extra 15 AP, and that right there was almost worth it. You know, 15 AP is somewhere around the neighborhood of like 350 gold. So you're only paying like an additional, you know, 100 gold or so. And then you get 50 health on top of that. So it was a pretty good bargain to complete it. But now you don't have to buy Sightstone. So just for 850 total gold, you get your Frostfang, and you can save that entire, you know, 800 other gold that you would put on Sightstone and buy something else. So now when you buy your 4-ward item, you're paying full price for the 200 HP, and for the combined cost, and for the 1 extra ward. You already have 3 wards. So all of this is not really what you want to do with Zyra. Not at this level of play. You'll see challenger level people rush the 4 ward item, and the reason for that is those wards are very, very heavily contested. Like, they can't keep wards on the map, and so they have to have 4 because the enemy is always clearing them. Like, everyone on the enemy team will be buying pinks. They'll, you know, the jungler and the support will have sweepers. They'll constantly sweep. So they buy that out of necessity, not because it's a great buy, but because they have to have vision on the map. But like at silver, gold, even probably platinum and low diamond, honestly, just having the 3 wards is fine a lot of the time because you can't place the 4th one unless the 3rd one of the 3 gets cleared. And that allows you to save the 950 extra gold, which could go towards Leandries, it could go towards Rylai's. There are a lot of great things you could buy with that to accelerate your build and snowball harder. That was one of the great adjustments of the Sightstone rework, was that AP supports got all this extra gold because they no longer had to buy Sightstone. Because Sightstone particularly sucks on AP supports because you don't need the health. On tanks, it's fine. They want Eye of the Equinox anyways, or Eye of the Aspect, or whatever it's called. They want that anyways because they love health. You know, even on utility champions, having some extra health on a Janna or a Sona or something, it's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. Because all of their items are really cheap. You know, their redemption's only 2,100 gold. But on champions like Zyra, where you have to save up for Leandries, which is 3,100, you know, you want your Rylai's, which is 2,600, you want your Void Staff, which is 2,650. Your items are very expensive, and so having that 800 gold is really, really helpful for AP supports. So they are the biggest beneficiary of that rework. Now, there's no way you're killing her right there with her black shield and stuff, so you need to just save that. Your damage is really low right now, too, because of your itemization. Okay, so that's my explanation of why I don't think you should get the 4 ward item most of the time. Maybe later in the game, when people are starting to contest vision and you already have your core items, like, maybe you could consider it, but... Now, Rod of the Ages, you definitely do not want a Zyra. You know, number 1, you didn't complete it until, I think, around 20 minutes or so, so it's not even going to reach full value until 30. And then also, you don't need the mana as Zyra. She has really low cost on her spells because most of her damage comes from her plants, which are free, in theory. So, you know, her spell rotation is a lot cheaper than other champions who have to cast 4 spells. She only casts 3. Versus someone like Brand who has to cast all 4. So she already has really good mana management, and you don't need that much AP or HP for the reasons I just described. You know, you really just want maximum damage. Okay, guys. Yeah, you're getting even more mana. You don't need that as Zyra. I mean, look at your mana bar. Just, like, go back through this game. I'm not going to do it all right now, but look at your mana bar and just see, like, how often you dip below, you know, 1/3 mana. I'll just go to random parts here. So we'll go back to where we are. Where are we right now? We are at, like, 21 minutes. I just want to just go back to just random parts here and just look. I'm just looking at your mana bar over here on the side. Okay, you're dead on that one. Okay, you're still at like over half. Still at half. So I mean, that's a small sample size, but if you just like go through the whole thing, you know, I'll guarantee you it's going to be very rare for you to dip below. It's going to be very rare for you to dip below 30% mana. Okay, then you all kill Yasuo there. Alright. Okay, good. Yeah. So yeah, that's why you don't need the mana. You just need to stop and think logically, what do I need? Right? What's going to help me win this game? and you don't need mana because you have really good mana management as Zyra anyways. If you need a little bit more mana early, which is common, you know, sometimes if you're in lane for a while and you're trading, just buy one Fairy Charm. It's only 125 gold, and you can just sell it later. It only costs you 37 gold, you know, total if you buy a Fairy Charm and then sell it. So just for 37 gold, you can rent a Fairy Charm. And that's so much better than buying a 3,000 gold item like Rod of the Ages that's going to give you like 400 mana, and that's basically 500 gold in cost of mana. So with that 500 gold, you could have bought, you know, 20, 25 ability power. So you got to always remember that each item has a budget, and you know, if you aren't making really good use of every stat on the item, then you're losing part of the budget. You're losing a lot of efficiency. So mana is almost completely worthless on Zyra because she already has so much. Like, she just doesn't need it. And it looks like you're buying Morello's now, which, once again, is a heavy mana item. You don't need it. You know, if you're trying to play Lux support or something, you know, you might be able to consider that. But as Zyra, you know, that's one of the biggest strengths of Zyra is that she has really good mana management. So that frees you up in your budget, your gold, when you're trying to say, what are the things I need? You can say more damage more often because you don't have to budget for mana because you don't need it. So that indirectly, in theory, makes her a lot stronger than a lot of other AP supports in the support role. It's because she doesn't have to buy mana. She can spend that gold on pure damage. Unlike someone like Lux, right, who has to buy a mana item. Or Xerath, who has to buy a mana item. She doesn't, and that's what historically has made Zyra the strongest AP support. At least in part, is because she has the best mana management of common AP supports. Okay, so we got to work on that itemization. So like I said before, you really, really want to go Leandre's and Rylai's on the next patch. Definitely Leandre's, and I would highly, highly recommend Rylai's. There might be an argument in some cases for like Void Staff or maybe Decap if you're super rich, but I think that Rylai's Leandre's is the way to go. If you want a temporary power spike, you could go Leandre's into Oblivion Orb or whatever that 1,500 gold thing is. It gives you the 15 pin. You could do that. That would give you a very short-term spike. But the completed Morellonomicon is not nearly as efficient as Rylai's or Void Staff. So, but those are kind of your options. It needs to be Leandre's, and then it needs to be either Oblivion Orb or nice. It needs to be either Oblivion Orb or Rylai's. Now that I'm thinking about it, there might be an argument for Leandre's, Oblivion Orb, and then Rylai's, because you can very rarely afford to buy all of your items anyways as an AP support. So maybe there's a good argument for that. Okay, so let's talk about markdown items. Okay. There you go. That's the combo you want. Well, sort of. You did get one. Yeah, you want to E and then Q after your E hits. Q plants. So this game's basically going to be over probably somewhat like you're getting this Raw of the Ages might not even be full by the time the game's over, or it might be full. So, like, at the very end. So just think, like, your Rod of the Ages is not even reaching full efficiency until the last, like, minute or two of the game. Whereas when you buy something like Haunting Guys, that's a huge power spike, like, immediately. And then it builds into something that's a really powerhouse single item power spike. Or Haunting Guys, yeah, it's the short power spike. Leandri's is the big item power spike. And it combines so well with all of the other strong items that it scales very well, too. It was like, there is no power spike with Rod of the Ages until you complete it. None of those items are that great. I guess, like, Blasting Wand, okay, sort of, but... Yeah, you need to get a lot more vision down, too. Like, there's... I feel like there are virtually no wards on this map. Maybe they just swept him or something, but I feel like... I've been talking about a lot of stuff here, trying to help you out conceptually with some of the itemization and positioning and things, so I haven't been paying as much attention to wards, but... you need to be getting a lot more wards down, especially if you want to invest in that 4-ward item.
Unstoppable.
As his health, like, you need amp tomes. You need damage. I know maybe you're a little worried this game because, you know, you died quite a few times, like 6 times, so, you know, maybe you're thinking, I need some help, you know. But I think if you're scared, like, if that's your line of reasoning, like, if you're scared that you're going to get caught and die, like, at least buy a Banshee's Veil. That'll save you from the Morgana Q, which is how you end up dying most of the time anyways. If you do die, it's because of Morgana. And then that will at least give you AP on it, like, respectful AP, and it'll give you some protection from Fiddle, because you'll have a lot of magic resist on it. And you won't waste any efficiency on mana. It's just straight HP, AP, and that shield, which is very nice against Morgana. And you're probably dead. Yeah, you can't walk through there alone. Well... Well... he's got you. Yeah, you can't walk through the jungle alone. You need to be dropping wards. If you're going to do that, at least drop wards. You know?
Red team's inhibitors respawning soon.
So yeah, you need to ward much more around the map.
Shut down. Blue team is slain by Nash.
Because you got to be thinking, okay, where are they going to go? And you saw there was a wave here, so there's a good chance Yasuo is going to be coming down to that wave. He might be coming down to farm Gromp. Like, if you wanted to get some wards in their jungle, which maybe was your intent, and then you got scared and forgot to ward while you're running, you know, maybe you could, like, run down this way, and then just, like, drop a ward, like, here, here, and, like, maybe over this wall or something. But you gotta be pretty cautious, especially late in the game, because if anybody catches you out, you're probably dead. Unless you just, like, completely one-shot them. And you don't have the damage to one-shot anyone right now, I don't think. So, you know, you see all those defensive items, all that HP and stuff really didn't save you, though. Like, they still kill you. Because you're just not designed to be a tanky champion. You just don't have good base stats. You don't have good magic resist, armor, health. Like, Zyra's just not designed to be a fighter. Okay, you got the Haunting, guys. That's good. The HP is nice. It's just not as important as other stats.
Shut down. Ace.
Hit it, hit it, hit it. Don't mess around. Y'all got it, but I would say, as a general rule of thumb, just end the game. Trust me, I've seen it go real bad real quick when people are just trolling around near the Nexus, and you know they aren't watching the death timers, and 3 people spawn, kill everybody, and then they turn the game around and win. Like, that happens all the time. Okay, so let's do. Okay, so let's type this up. We've got. Let's see. Okay, so just against something like a Blitz, a Morg, Nautilus, Thresh, just anything that has like a line shot stun or hook, you want to position behind minions. So you don't just want to sit exposed in a bush, especially if you don't have eyes on them. Because they're just randomly going to throw stuff in that bush, even if they don't have it warded. So you want to keep that in mind. Harass with your Q, just Q plus W plant. Harass in lane should be your bread and butter. Don't use that E unless you can kill him, because it's very risky. It's on like a 12-second cooldown, and if that's down, they know they can engage and go all in on you. Or if the jungler shows up after you use it, you're not going to have a lot of defense. So you only want to use your E if you're pretty certain that you're going to hit them and you're going to kill them. So if they're like 20% health, you have Ignite, and then you E and just go all in on them. But, you know, if they're at 100%, you never want to use your E for harassment, or very rarely should you try that. If you are going to do it, wait until they're trying to last hit a minion and then hit them while they're focusing on last hitting that minion. Because there were several times where you used that E, you missed it, and then they, you know, went all in on you with Morg. Okay? So these are kind of related. You need to play more defensively when your flash is down. So when your flash is down, like, you just really can't push that far up the lane unless you know where the jungler is. You can push them in the tower, but you have to back up because they're gonna know that you're just a super easy kill because you don't have any dashes, you don't have flash, you just don't have a lot of defense. So, you know, Fiddle's going to know he can just roll up and kill you whenever he wants. The same is true of Varus. Like, Varus doesn't have any escapes, and so it's just really easy to camp that lane to make plays. Fiddlestick's not that great right now. So if they had something like a Sejuani or just some other jungler that ganks a lot better than Fiddlesticks, then y'all could have been in some big trouble. But they got you a couple of times, but not as much as they could have in the bot lane, so... you know, just be careful about that. And then just think logically about where's the jungler most likely to gank. Which lane looks like it has the best opportunity to kill somebody. Okay, so, you know, Jace was pushing a tower, so he can't really gank there. Mid lane, there weren't too many great opportunities there. But bot lane, y'all were always pushing in a tower, and you don't have escapes. And they have good follow-up CC with Morgana, so... you know, yours just kind of... And he wants to do Dragon early, in theory. That's one of Fiddlestick's best things, is he can, you know, solo Dragon early. So all signs point to he's probably going to camp bottom lane. And so you just, you know, need to be careful with that. Okay, I talked about the itemization quite a bit. Buy a higher damage item. Leandries, Rylai's, Void Staff, or Leandries, Oblivion Orb, Rylai's. Okay, just something like that. A lot of damage. No mana items, and just things that are just straight up, you know, as much damage as you can get. So watch my AP itemization video. I explain why. I explain the efficiency of a bunch of different items in there, but that's what you want. As much power as you can possibly get early on. So yeah, so just make sure you're dropping those wards. You should always have 3 wards on the map at all times. If you don't have 3 wards, then just drop them anywhere, really. Like, even if they're not the most efficient spot, just drop them in random bushes or over walls. Just, you know, just practice getting wards on the map at all times. And if your wards go down, replace them. So get used to just every now and then just checking on your wards. Just look over there and say, oh man, my ward's about to drop off in 30 seconds. I better, you know, go back and get some more. So just kind of have these timers in your mind when your wards are going to fall off, and just be ready to replace them as much as you can. So there really shouldn't be long stretches of time where you don't have any vision on the map. Okay, and buy more. I don't remember seeing a lot of control wards. You may have bought 1 or maybe 2 wards, but use control wards actively a lot more to try to deny vision from the enemy. I talk about all of this. I have a vision domination video and then my macro video, like 5 tips for better macro. So watch both of those if you want to know more specifically where you can, you know, place your vision and how you can use your or optimize your vision in different ways. But do that more. Also, I didn't see you checking with your plants a lot. Like, you should be using W to check bushes, and then Q, like W, Q, and then your plant will give you a lot of vision around an area. The reason that you want to use W instead of just warding, or definitely instead of face checking, is it's 800 range, where warding is, I believe, 500, 400 or 500 range. So that gives you like a really nice like distance you can put between yourself and the bush in order to check it. And then the plant will give you a really large radius of vision around the whole area, and it helps protect the area. So if somebody's there, the plant's at least hitting them right away and potentially blocking a skill shot. So I'll definitely use those plants a lot more. And if you're maxing your W second, which is what I recommend, then you should be getting your plants back pretty regularly. So, you know, a big problem sometimes is you might be afraid to use a plant to scout because a fight might break out, you know, in the next 15 seconds. And so if you have your W maxed and you just have a little bit of CDR, then your plant downtime will only be, you know, maybe 10 seconds instead of 20. So that's a really big difference when you're trying to scout and get good position. And warding is extremely important against Fiddlesticks too. He didn't really get off a lot of good ults on your team because you had really good map positioning and pressure, and he just wasn't able to find great spots. But you need to make sure that you definitely have really good vision coverage against Fiddle, because if he, you know, pops over a bush, he can turn an entire game around in a 5v5 fight if he's fed and if he has really good positioning. Okay, well, that's going to be it. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the donation. Overall, pretty solid play. I really enjoyed it. I thought that your early game harassment was great. Just, you know, work on these tips here. Just stay behind the minions, harass more with that Q, save that E for the all-ins or defense. Play a little bit more cautiously when your flash is down. Pay attention to the jungler. You know, think carefully about where they might be. Buy higher damage items and just ward a bit more, and I think you'll definitely climb quite a lot. So thank you very much. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time.